What did you think of the game?
I think
the first half, anyway, England's first 20 minutes.
First 20 minutes, England were really good, and it gave a good example of the game style that Steve Borthwick is trying to get across to these players. And I think it worked really well, in fairness. He was, well, you know, the defensive line was really quick off.
Felix Jones defence.
Yeah.
The blitz box.
The blitz box defence was really good. Put pressure on Scotland straight away. Attacking wise, they, as I said before, they're kicking less now with Borthwick as well, and kind of playing that typical, almost like heads up rugby, kind of seeing what's in front of you. I thought George Ford was really good at the weekend, kicked really well. Slade was brilliant. Furbank did really well, coming in like that as a bit of an unexpected change of personnel. But yeah, I think a positive 20 minutes to be definitely, and it kind of just got unravelled once again by that very Scottish Duhan van der Merwe.
Very Scottish Duhan. He definitely doesn't have a South African accent.
No.
So obviously Scotland came back into it with that great try. Lovely centre partnership with Tuipulotu and Hugh Jones. Really loved watching them this championship. They've been fantastic.
Yeah.
Hugh Jones made the break, offloaded it to your man van der Merwe. Scotland's favourite South African, and he went over for the try. No, I can't really take the mick out of that. That's the what's it called, the Regency rule.
Where
you can live in a country for so many, or play in a country for so many years, and then you get to play for their national team, because we've been helped out with Bundy Aggie and a couple of players for that. Gibson Park as well. Yeah, just a couple of our players. I'm sure. Do England have any of that? I mean, Feo Bosa, I suppose.
We had two and
he's got some English. He's got far more English connections than Bundy Aggie has Irish connections. So great try from Duhan, and then another try, and really those errors, those handling errors, and just forward passes, knock-ons were really sort of unravelled England in the second half of that first half. Went down the touchline for a second one, and you go in as at 17-10 at half time. Don, what do you think of England's? You look at their performance in that first half, and even in most of the second half, and it was really sharp attacking wise. It's not something we're used to seeing really with Steve Borthwick. It's more of a reserved style of play, more focused on defence, with that Felix Jones defence. What do you think that was their unravelling, just the amount of errors, and do you think there's a lot of optimism, even in terms of the attacking performance?
Yeah, I think, as I said before, the first 20 minutes gave a really good insight as to what Borthwick is trying to build with these players, and how the style of play that he wants to get out of them. So I mean, if you copy and paste those 20 minutes across the whole game, you've got a style of play of English rugby that is really attractive and really good, and I think once we get the hang of that, then England will go really far and be a top side, top 3 in the world potentially. I know we're not far off that at the minute, but like I say, to play really well for a quarter of the game is all well and good, but you want to be playing really well for 90-100% of the game. But I think England were, like you say, they were the downfall to their own, due to their own mistakes.
The authors of their own downfall, I think.
That's the phrase.
Stories.
Yeah, thanks for help.
So a couple of mistakes, and then Scotland sort of. Finn Russell was great off the tee again. He controlled the game as he has done this championship. And then second half, another try, just sort of break away from Cam Redpath, sort of came out of nothing. It was a bit of a sloppy play from Scotland, and he just managed to break. And then Russell's always got his heads up. He's got his head on, twisting about, and chucks it in the corner, and Van der Merwe picks up for his third. And then at that point,
at that point, I knew it was kind of down and out. It was hard to watch that bit, but no, I mean, you got to give credit where credit's due, and Scotland were very good. Finn Russell was excellent as always. Duhan was pretty good, I guess.
I mean, in terms of, we'll just touch on those two players. In terms of Russell, this championship, I thought, I mean, you look at the first game and the way that Wales sort of came back into it, and I guess you could say, per game management and stuff like that. But I think overall in this championship, Finn as the co-captain with Rory Darg has shown sort of different sides to his game. You haven't seen all those flare passes and breaking lines and stuff like that that we maybe saw last year's championship, but I think we saw a more experienced Ted. We've seen obviously some of that lovely play of his and just him always looking up, and his phenomenal kicking game, particularly good off the tee. I mean, he's 100% off the tee in the championship, but I think he's really showed another side to his game in terms of that experience and that guile in terms of the game management. I think that really brought England through that game, which could have Scotland brought Scotland through that game, and sort of, I mean, alongside having Johan van der Merwe, who's been phenomenal again in this championship, one of the best winners in the world. I thought his game management really brought them through that, and his kicking off the tee. In terms of going forwards, I mean, you look at England; they were very good, and even I don't know if you listen to Squidge Rugby, do you?
Yeah, I watched the video.
Yeah, for the really good YouTube rugby analyst, probably one of the best about, probably is the best about, and he said the difference between England and Scotland there was Johan van der Merwe, because England were the better side, and I think England were the better side there.
No, I definitely agree. I didn't come out of the pub that evening going, God, we were awful. That was one of the worst displays I've ever seen, because it wasn't like we played really well. It was just the fact that there's a certain style that Borthwick wants them to play, and they're getting the hang of it slowly, but they're still making the errors of trying to be too quick with it, and that's where the knock-ons are coming in, the forward passes are coming in, the overlapping runs, and just those little mistakes that can easily be erased, but they're still there at the minute because it's a new system. But yeah, I think England were the better side, but like you say, and like what Squid Rugby says, they have Johan van der Merwe, and it is very difficult to play against a player who is so quick and so strong and just so dominant. And
just has that knack of scoring against you, really. It's just kind of like a boogie player. Well, that's how many wins for Scotland in a row over England now. Sorry to bring up Wolf.
That's 4 in a row. Say that rather reluctantly, but
questions there. Anyway, moving forward, England have Ireland. Can they bounce back against Ireland, or did you only see that one going one way?
I think it'll be an Ireland win, but I don't think England will be disgraced by any means.
And do you think, like, in terms of the game plan for that game, do you see them going in with a similar game plan, that we're going to try to play a bit of rugby here, and we're going to try and play to our strengths, play to the players that we have, and try and play a more expansive game? Or do you think he's going to shut it down and try and focus on that blitz defence that we saw in all 3 games, but a particular focus on defence and shutting teams down we saw in the first 2 games?
I think they will still try and do that blitz defence, only because Ireland are so quick in attack as well, so it's almost like fighting fire with fire. And so, I think defensively they will still do that blitz defence. But I think in attack they may... I don't know, Ireland is just so... They're always really quick at getting over the ball. That's how they get most of their penalties, just by getting jackalers over and securing the ball early. So I think to counter that, England will have to play, like I said before, that kind of heads-up rugby, of just kind of looking what's about. And because Ireland as well don't play a massive kicking game, England to an extent are used to a style of that. So I think if he's fit, Alex Mitchell or Danny Care will...
I think him and Marcus Smith are coming back from injury. Potentially be in for that game.
So I mean, well, even then, Marcus Smith as well, he's got very good rugby brain, so it would be really good if he came back, although I can't fault Ford for the past couple of games that he's played as well. But I don't know. I'm not sure whether. I think Marcus Smith might even drop to 15, and Freddie Stewart, I don't know. Borthwick seems to be. It's almost like the rugby equivalent of Pep Roulette with Man City, and kind of shaking it about so much. But
I mean, well, it's a new setup, a new side. He only came in before the World Cup, really.
Yeah.
So he's going to chop and change. And in terms of talking about Marcus Smith and George Ford there. I think you get two incredibly different styles of play. You get Marcus Smith with that all-expansive game, but maybe that lack of game knowledge and the lack of experience, or not game knowledge, the lack of game management that's you maybe get more in forward, and a more sort of defensive fly half that forward is, but then you maybe lose a bit of that attacking mercurial flair that you get with Marcus Smith. So I if I was Borthwick, I'd start with forward, have Smith off the bench, but we'll see how he does. I think against Ireland, I don't know what the goal is for this championship with England, with 2 wins and one loss now. I think it's been a really positive tournament for them with those 2 wins and the performance against Scotland more than anything else. But I don't know if going for that expansive style against Ireland is going to work for them. I think maybe be better for seeing a wee bit more of what we saw in the first 2 games with that sort of blitz box, shutting down their attack, kicking correctly, kicking smartly, and that's personally what I would see England doing. But I guess we'll see going forward. But I think overall it's been quite positive for England in this championship so far. A lot more positive than I expected.
Yeah, I think a lot more positive than a lot of people expected. I think there's always an air of talk about England that they don't always play the best style of rugby and kind of sneak victories here and there, and they're just not very. There's no attacking, finishing quality really. But I think Borthwick has been a great appointment, and he's shaping this team into something really good. And I'm excited to see, 1, how we perform against Ireland, because that'll be a really big test. And 2, just going forward over the next couple of years to see how England progress with Borthwick.
And I think they've got a chance in that France game, with France not at the Stade de France.
100%. Yeah, I think like we've said. France haven't been at their best this tournament. It's clear to see. Just goes to show how much of a loss Dupont has been. But also, you've had Olivon out as well, and other players. So I think England are pretty full strength compared to France. So I think they can
put it on them. It's going to be a very tight game. That's a very interesting one as well. In terms of Scotland, moving forward, they've got Italy in Rome next, which is a very tough game for them. Italy will gain so much confidence from that France result, even though they didn't win. In terms of Scotland moving forward, I feel a wee bit up and down about Scotland, because I'm not quite sure what to think, because they're in that sort of period where they should be going for the Six Nations, because they're sort of a fully fledged size. You're not pardon me, they're not in development. They're there to win the championship. That would have been their aim last season, and it will be their aim this season. So first game, superb first 50 minutes against Wales. Then they sort of start to fleck away and allow Wales to get back into that game. Second game, they lose to France, where they should have really closed that game out against a vulnerable France side. And then that third game, where I sort of felt the lack. Is it a lack of ambition at the end? When you've got the 9 points on England, you've got your 9 points ahead of them. They're not going to score a try and draw the game or win the game. Is it a lack of? Am I being harsh by saying it's maybe a lack of ambition to not go for that 4th bonus point try and maybe try and set you up for that championship, or give you an opportunity to try and win that championship, because they're sitting on 8 points behind 7 behind Ireland. What bonus point would do would put you closer to Ireland. Do you think that was? What are you thinking about Scotland at the moment?
I don't think it's necessarily lack of ambition. I think it's recognising the situation that you're in and capitalising on that, and rather than building on it, just almost sitting on it. I think that, Scotland have never been renowned for having a great defence. I mean, they've had brilliant defensive players, like Hamish Watson was always incredible for them, and so I think they saw that they had the 9 point advantage, knew that a converted try from England wasn't going to mean that they lost. So I think they kind of just were happy to take the pressure and just wait for England to kind of make the mistakes like they had been doing during the rest of the game. So I don't think it was necessarily, it wasn't very ambitious of them, but it was tactile in a sense, for sure. But I think as well, it just all boils down back to this point of how good Ireland are this season. I just don't think. I think maybe Scotland have given up and kind of gone, well, they're going to win the tournament. What's the point, kind of thing. I think they will get a second. I think they'll still beat. I think they'll beat Italy, although Italy will still give them a game, and then Ireland is their final game, isn't it?
Ireland and Dublin. Yeah, that's a big chance to test themselves, even.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think.
Yeah, that final weekend is going to be really interesting.
Do you think you can win in Rome, okay, or do you think it's going to be a struggle?
I think they'll win, but I kind of see that game the same way of Ireland, Italy, Ireland, England going. Sorry, Ireland I think are going to win, but England aren't going to shy away from it. It's not going to be easy. So I think it will be the same. I think Scotland will win, but Italy will still give them a really good game. Like you say, they've got the guile to go out and show teams that they can perform really well. And I think they'll do the same against Scotland. It's no different. I think it's more exciting for them to play the bigger teams as well, because there's they haven't got as much to lose, but they've got a lot more to win and gain from it. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, I think they play some lovely stuff, Scotland, and being perhaps a little bit harsh on them. But yeah, there's 2 games left to play. Tough one in Rome, but I expect them to sort of win that game, and then it's a free hit really in Ireland, isn't it? Because it's sort of the championship could be out of sight by then, really. Yeah. So we'll see what they can do with that one as well.